So I just got back from seeing Sound of Freedom, and I must say off the bat, it is a very good movie. It is a thriller based on a true story of Tim Ballard and his journey to help free as many children as possible from human traffickers in Colombia. The movie stars Jim Caviezel, who in his 19 years since he played the title role of Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ, has been the go-to actor for kind of faith-based projects and the vast majority of Hollywood tends to steer away from. Wearing a trim dark beard and coppery blonde hair, Caviezel does justice to Ballard as a character. From a grounded plot to great camera angles, this movie does what it needs to, and it does it very well. While the movie is not perfect, it does highlight a problem that we see in the world today, and it's obvious the creators of the film have pure intentions. What I did realize, though, through the film is that similar to Hollywood, they really stretch the based on the true story angle, and is quite evident in this film. So we start the movie with two children who become trafficked and are pretty much the focal point of the film, Miguel and Lucille. They are approached by a talent agent who claims they can help Lucille become famous. The father, of course, reluctantly agrees and brings his children to the photo shoot that has been set up. After some time has passed, we are back with the father and we see him going to pick up his children. When he gets there, the children as well as the talent agent are nowhere to be seen, and we see the father run into the darkness looking for his children. We then cut to California, where Tim and his team are busting an active pedophile. After arresting the pedophile, Tim is able to convince him that he has the same feelings towards children and is able to set up a meeting. We then see Tim rescuing Miguel and finds out his sister has also been taken. After convincing his boss to allow him to go, Tim heads down to Colombia where he meets an ex-cartel member that helps free children from being trafficked. Together they come up with a plan to create a hotel where they can bring the children being trafficked and rescue them while also arresting high-profile traffickers. This plan works to perfection, and they are able to arrest big names in the trafficking world while also arresting the woman that posed as a talent agent that took Miguel and Lucille. After it is found that Lucille is not part of the group, they discover from one of the arrested traffickers that she was sold to a rebel group located in the Colombian rainforest. But there's a problem. The Department of Homeland Security can no longer aid Tim in his venture to save Lucille. So just like in real life, Tim resigns from the agency and sets out to rescue Lucille on his own. With the help of the ex-cartel member and a police officer he has befriended, Tim is able to pose as a medic working with the United Nations to make his way into the rebel base. He eventually finds Lucille and under the cover of darkness is able to escape the base while also being able to unalive the rebel leader. Lucille is then reunited with her brother and father, and the movie ends. While not a groundbreaking plot, it keeps the audience attention and helps portray the message behind the film quite well. While mostly fictional, I would rate this plot a solid 9 out of 10. The set pieces in this movie were done quite well, but not perfect. A lot of this movie takes place either in the US or Colombia, with the final act taking place in the Colombian rainforest. I will have to say that the best looking part of the film is also one of the actual situations that occurred during Tim's times in Colombia, which is the island scene. It's obvious that with a lower budget, they needed to have smaller set pieces and perfect angles to keep the sense of a larger area. Even with these low budget tricks, the movie does a great job at making the set pieces seem larger than they actually are. I would grade this category a solid 8 out of 10. In my opinion, the cinematography is the best part of the movie. The director did a great job of creating a sense of eeriness while not taking away from the situations. From dark rooms to panning shots of dimly lit roads, the movie does a great job in creating a sense of hopelessness that these children and parents go through, and makes you truly feel for the children in these situations. My favorite scene in this film is while the father is frantically pounding on the door trying to get into the room he dropped his children off to. The camera slowly pans back into a dark room, with the only light being over the door in the hallway. With the music behind it being dark and ominous as well, it creates such a scary feeling and really helps set the tone of the movie. With cinematography, I would rate it a 9 out of 10. So, we've come to the end of my review. And here with my final thoughts, I thought I would give a little excerpt of how I feel the movie truly felt like. So my final thoughts on this movie is that even though it does come from a small studio, it does a great job at creating hopelessness and dread for the audience. I would say better than a lot of Hollywood studios nowadays. The two big problems I saw with the movie was the pacing and how much of it was fiction. I do understand the actual story of Tim is not as exciting as the movie portrays, but some parts of the movie, especially the Rebel Base scene, was quite silly and unnecessary. While this movie did what it needed to do, bringing light to a conversation that is often swept under the rug, I believe this story could have been told in about 95 to 105 minutes rather than its 131-minute runtime. But even with my final thoughts, I think this movie is a great 9 out of 10. It's a very good movie that gets its point across with a good plot, great cinematography, and brings awareness to an issue that is often avoided because it is tough to talk about. I would highly recommend this movie, and I thank you for watching, keeping it real. See you in the next one.